So this is a wonderful opportunity that we at Maharshi Karve Sri Shikshan Sanstha are having today, because we have two very, very prominent professionals in their individual fields who have come, spared their time to talk to us. And this is going to be a fantastic takeaway from the 2 days of Career Guidance Expo that we are having here on the 4th and 5th of November 2023. So I welcome Srirang Godbole and Nivedita Sabu to Maharshi Karve Sri Shikshan Sanstha. Welcome. So as you know, we've been having this 2-day Career Guidance Expo at Maharshi Karve Sri Shikshan Sanstha, because we wanted basically people to know what kind of faculties we are having within the Sanstha, because we have courses right from nursing to fashion, in almost every vertical. But sometimes it's a challenge for students to understand what are the qualities that I have and what are the qualities that are required to be a certain kind of a professional in a certain field. Since Srirang Godbole is from the media and Nivedita is from the fashion industry, I would like to begin by asking them, students have an expectation from the industry, but we will like to know what are the industry expectations from these aspiring employees of these particular fields. If you can, individually throw some light on it.
So I always feel like students in glamour specifically come to the industry with the expectation of having a very glamorous career.
Right.
Which is not exactly what it is. It is for the 10 minutes of glamour that you put your whole year behind you with a lot of hard work, a lot of technical skills, a lot of passion, a lot of reading up, keeping yourself updated, and giving days and nights of your time and energy on research and on developing oneself. So that is the biggest misnomer that I feel leads the fashion industry. So when a person comes to us in the industry and realizes that, oh my God, like this involves not only production but also accounting, also production planning, ERP systems, technical skills, cutting, manpower management. There is so much more to a team that produces fantastic clothes and beautiful collections, that it's not about that 10 minutes of a fashion show that showcases those garments. I would definitely like to say that the constant perseverance, the presence of mind that you need to make sure that you're imbibing a certain piece of knowledge or a certain quality, you're absolutely accepting it, making it your own, and then you have the presence of mind and the common sense to implement what you've learned at every single breathing moment of your life, because the industry is posed with challenges and projects that at every single minute you're faced with a unique and new proposition. In the creative arts, there is very few times can you set up a template format that if this happens, this needs to be done, if that happens, that needs to be done, because there are so many variables. You're dealing with artisans, you're dealing with live locations, you're dealing with shows, you're dealing with different customers, different measurements, different likes and dislikes. So I feel like the dynamics of creative professions need people who are agile, who are constantly willing to up their game and learn, and you're willing to put in all of their passion behind becoming a better designer, a better professional, every single moment of their lives.
Yeah, Ranga.
Yes, I think she has captured it very well. But I'll top it up with some more insights that I have now. As she rightly pointed out, there is a lot of glamour that even comes to the media industry. But the media industry has got a very wide spectrum. So there are some verticals in media which are not so glamorous, and then if you look at the big screen, then it's very glamorous. So actually, media is something which need not be only creative. Actually, media is a technology. And for instance, if I tell you that a zoology student, if he wants to make a thesis on rabbits, for example, he can submit a thesis in a video form. I mean, the days are gone when everything was, black and white, printed on paper. Now the new medium is taking over. You must have seen that most of the things are getting paperless. Once the things are getting paperless, what is it? It is all images and videos. So actually, the spectrum of media is very, very wide. It is not just the entertainment industry. It is also knowledge. It's also education. It's also research. It's also humanities. So I would say that a lot of people think in a very, in a siloed fashion, that when you say media, it is either electronic media, so news channel, or the film and television. But I would say that they are just 10 or 15% of the total media. So now media education is becoming, a vital and an essential skill, I would say, that is required by almost everybody. So I would say that beyond aesthetic, there is also a lot of practicality, and beyond aesthetic and creativity, there is also much more to learn from the point of view of using this as a documentation purpose, using it as a dissemination purpose. So I believe that one has to relook at media in the new situation, in the emerging situation, especially when everything is getting automated. The industrial revolution 4 is around the corner. A lot of jobs are going to get obsolete. There are a lot of people who are going to lose their jobs. So what is going to be their new earning option, So they will find that media is going to be a very important option. For that, you have to really loosen the, stretch the definition of media. So I believe from the futuristic point of view, everybody has to think what media can do for their profession rather than what they can do in a media profession. So there are multiple opportunities, and as she very rightly pointed out, that you must toil a lot, you have to do a lot of hard work, and after you do a lot of hard work, what you get is a 1-minute video perhaps. So behind every 1 second that you see on a screen, there is at least one day, you can say, of great of effort and a lot of hard work. So nobody should come in this particular field with a naive idea that this is going to be all hunky-dory and everything that you see on internet. So it's much beyond that. A lot of cinema happens outside the frame of the
yes,
on the screen. So you have to be a part of that. So I think that more or less would be my idea of media in the coming years.
I think I just wanted to ask you this also, that we have seen this COVID period and all of that, and the whole structure, the way we were working, it has completely changed. So if we are talking about these uncertain times, then what we should expect, what the students should be aware about, and what extra they should be learning, because nowadays the requirement of the industries are also changing. They should know how to handle social media, they should know how to build a story behind a brand. So how do you feel that what all they should be prepared extra when we are talking about these things? What extra traits are required?
I feel like COVID was just an accelerator to what was already coming. Definitely the skill sets that are required to stay in tune with the times. Today we know that promotion for any product happens through social media, happens through storytelling, happens through media itself and various aspects of media. Every product, until and unless its story is told, is incomplete. It's like art which is sitting in your house, right? So I feel like not only the understanding of the ecosystem and how fast it's changing, and to be able to relate that to the rest of the environment. What is fashion forecasting today? You don't have just fashion designers, right? You'll have doctors, engineers, media people, newspaper barons, designers. Like, you'll have people from architects. You'll have people from all sorts of industries come together and say that this is where the world is moving to. This is where the direction of fashion is moving to, and that is forecasting. So to understand the pulse of what is going on around you, and then to make sure that you have the ability to be agile enough to be able to take that disruption into your stride and to learn new skill sets. You don't know what is coming.
Yes.
And I just feel like to be prepared and to say that I'm ready to move and learn and then implement as the time comes is, I think, a very, very important skill set.
I think Ranga has something very nice to share because you mentioned COVID times, because he was very active in media during the COVID time, and it'll be nice if he can share, what all he did as far as media is concerned in the COVID times, because I was a small part of it, so I would like to.
Yeah, actually, before I talk about that, I would like to take this a little further. What should be expected now from the new generation? So beyond storytelling also, there has to be an experiential quality to whatever you do. Now people want experience. I mean, it is not a one-way storytelling that used to happen once upon a time. Now, especially with AI, now if you look at the new engines that have got like Unreal or the new experiences. Just yesterday itself, I saw a video by this guy Ayushmann Khurrana. His video, his AI experiential center has been created by Titan. So Titan has come up with new spectacles. So if you go to a Titan experiential center, Ayushmann Khurrana starts talking to you, and they have they dig into your data. They have picked up some data points, and then he would start call you actually, like, "Hi Radhika, how are you? What are you looking for?" And then you start talking. And when you start talking, he talks about the product. He shows you a product, and then you can also wear the product, all virtually. So all of this is happening now, and you go into any field. Like if you look at the new medicine, like telemedicine, for example. The telemedicine is a science where you need a lot of media to actually palpate a patient, to understand what is the patient requirement. You have now new tools, like there is a tool called Butterfly, which can diagnose any anomaly within your body, and it can be transmitted over internet, and experts sitting across the world can, give you advice. So this virtuality and the experience, I think this is going to dominate the days to come. So, I'll switch this to COVID times actually. So in the COVID times, it was all surreal. If you all remember that we were all sitting in our houses and not moving out. I stay in a place in Pune, which is, all the time there is a lot of traffic there. I stay on Ferguson Road, so you can imagine. And just imagine the road and completely empty. So it was very surreal, and I thought that I need to break this one way or the other. I need to connect people. So actually we started a show, a daily show called Alpaviram. And then we started interviewing people, sharing their experiences during COVID time, before COVID time. So it kind of connected people who were otherwise isolated. So I think that was a very, very important thing. Otherwise, people would have gone psychologically, challenged. Because how much can you live in isolation? And sharing kind of makes you more comfortable. So actually we used, at that time, Zoom, which was actually there by that time. But we started using Zoom like our oxygen, Everybody, I think, yeah. So I think, and we did a huge series during that period where we had all the friends and all the stars and celebrities in our industry. We got them interviewed. We had a panel. So it was organically, it evolved, out of the need to connect with people. So I think media did that for us. Another thing that we did one show for Sony Television. We said that we'll do a serial. I produce serials otherwise, and we have shooting locations and the artists gather there and we shoot. But in this particular case, all the artists were sitting at their home. So what we did was, we designed one serial in which all these people were supposedly living in the same society. And then with some technology, we kind of brought them together and did one serial. So all the artists were shooting from their respective homes. Their wives and their husbands, they were doing the job of a cameraman. And then our editor was sitting in Kerala. Our music director was sitting in Kolhapur, because we were all isolated in different places. But we created that serial, 40-episode serial called Akshay Kidikya Naushadara. So that was the only television serial that was produced during the COVID times.
Amazing. Amazing.
Yes. So if you look at it as an opportunity rather than a threat, then I think you can make the best of it.
So I think what I see from this is, coming to the next point, that like you all have shared right now, it cannot be a standalone kind of a job. I mean, when you talk about a fashion show or when you talk about a shooting unit, so it's not a standalone job, and it's multi-dimensional. So how does one need to be, from the point of view of a student or an aspiring media professional or a fashion professional, how multi-dimensional does this industry look and what is needed? So what all? So for example, I know Ranga is an engineer, by education. But he's also a lyricist, he's an actor, he's a director, he's everything. So how is this important, this multi-dimensionality of the industry?
I'll start this. Okay.
Yes, please.
So actually, there are some jobs which do not require this kind of a 360 degrees of things. They are very specific jobs. Like for example, a sound recordist. Okay, a sound recordist is that way. If he wants to learn, he can learn so many things. But that way, his job is and his deliverable is pretty well defined. Okay, so he has to create that audio experience. And there are a lot of people who also, they are very creative in that also. But I would say that the role is very well defined there, and the deliverables are measurable, and they can be, somebody can say yes, no, it's not very subjective. But think about a cameraman, for example, director of photography. He has to capture a moment, and there can be hundreds of ways to capture it. Now if that person is aware of painting, if that person has seen Vincent van Gogh or Rembrandt or Gaitonde or whoever, if he has read history books and if he has seen the kind of imagery that exists from thousands of years ago to today, what kind of how the Mughal art was, how is if he must visit Ajanta Ellora, he must have his aesthetic in place. Okay, so there you require, for example, a director must know what is the history, what is the psychology, the language, different nuances of language, regional specificity, cultural details. So a director has to be, really 360 degrees. A writer again has to be 360 degrees kind of a person, because he has to create something anew. So I think every job has its own requirements and its own purpose, a position in the whole hierarchy of production. But when you are going to operate individually, for example, in that particular case, you must be a master of all. You must know how to do basic sound, how to do basic videography, how to edit, how to add effects. Now, a lot of software is available, like the latest software like text to film, for example. So this AI software, you have to just write a script and feed it to the text to script software and creates film for you. So there you don't have to, really think so much about, can I shoot, can I write a script, can I, beautify it, can I be right in the language, can I be grammatically correct? No, AI will take care of everything. So in one way that is going to limit people, and in one way that is going to free people. As long as AI is going to be your slave, that's fine. The moment you become slave of an AI, then you're finished. That's my perception. But media is going to be highly influenced by automation and AI in the days to come.
Yeah. Nivedita, if you can, this is
Yes,
multidimensionality.
Absolutely. So I feel like to create anything as an artist, you need to know the process of every element that you're creating with. So for us, when it comes to fashion, it's right from the fiber when it's harvested to where its source is, to how it's woven, to what kind of processes it goes through, to understand its weight, its malleability, its flow, it's the way that it will interact with the human body, what its qualities are. So to then understand fiber, fabric, weaving, different applications of fabric, different ways of taking measurements, bodies, body types, movement of body types, personalities, applications, different kinds of embroideries, different kinds of embroidery applications that you can play with. To even create authentically or to create newer dimensions, it's very important to know what has already been created.
Right.
I feel like once you have the pool of what is already done, you're not repeating that wheel, but you're inventing ahead of it. So you definitely need to be multidimensional. And in my own, the last 2 years have been, and during COVID as well, I feel like in COVID, because everybody started creating masks, all designers, but I had decided that I will not just create masks out of our remaining fabrics. I thought that I wanted to create a technically sound product which would not be just a mask created out of my leftovers. So I actually went to NCL, I studied there with the scientists. I used my pattern making skills to create a 3D pattern that gave you talking space, that created an oxygen pocket. The mask was layered, it was fused with a German fusing. We sent it for testing. It had qualities that would be anti-fogging for spectacles. It had a pattern that would not give your skin rashes. The fabric was environmentally friendly. We got a 98.3 Citra certification. And then I'm a business that's used to selling high value products. To go to a product which I wanted to distribute for the benefit of everybody around me at a 295 rupees, I had to learn and set up a whole new ecosystem, a whole new e-commerce system in the middle of COVID. So like you said, for Ranga, even my COVID was crazy busy. I was hardly sleeping because I wanted to, if there was something that was being sold with my name on it, I needed to make sure that it was the best product that somebody could use. So similarly, right from creating a medically sort of approved mask to being designer for Warner Brothers for their jewelry and couture and pret lines, to collaborating with a rug company for weaving and design into their rugs. So it's all very different applications, to doing interiors for homes. Like I feel like whenever you have a thorough know-how of your ecosystem and what are the elements that are used in your ecosystem, and then how to play with them, it makes you a better creator, would be what I would say.
Which means that the awareness is also very, very important. About it's not only about learning something, but be aware of what is happening around you, so that when something comes up, you have a solution for it. And for that, I think multidimensional approach is what we are expecting.
So I was just thinking, like, both of you have been in your own business in the last decade, as well as, you're very much there today. Is it changing? Are the challenges different now? Because the students today are going to be in this business maybe another 5-10 years. So what are the kind of challenges that, stand in front of you with the times changing?
I think the rate of change has increased to a great extent. Like if we are going at in an arithmetic progression once upon a time, right now we are into an exponential dimension of change, because obsolescence and change has become, a day-to-day kind of a situation. There was a relative stability maybe 20 years back. Things were not as dynamic as what they are today. And that creates a lot of challenge to all the practitioners in a way. Because what you learn today is obsolete tomorrow. You have to learn something new every day. And actually, unless you are agile, the word that she used earlier, and unless you are very observant and agile, and you must be dissatisfied. That's the most important thing now. So 20 years back, people were satisfied with what they were doing. And that used to be that was the pace of things. The bit rate was pretty slow, I would say. But now the bit rate has increased to a great extent. And if you are passionate and if you're intense, only then can you survive. The moment you say that I am now absolutely content rather, and happy, established, settled, okay. For them, this is not the new world. The new world is not for them. You are unsettled every day, and then you have to cope with it, and you have to have you have to learn something new. And I think between the last decade and this decade, I mean, I am counting 2023 in the second decade of this millennium. So the first decade was fast, but now it's super fast. And I can even go back in 80s, that was super slow. I can tell you that. Super slow. So I've been fortunate to see, this radical change, a complete change in the bit rates of life.
From
But
no television to
yes,
palm tops.
absolutely. And in my business, for example, if I'm in television, we see that we are riding a tiger. The day you say that, okay, I'm happy, I want to get down, the tiger is going to eat you. So you have to keep riding, and keep riding faster and faster and faster every day. I mean, it's a mad rush of life now, in our industry at least, and you should be ready for that. If you want a table job, 9 to 5 kind of a situation, media is not for you.
So you've very beautifully highlighted the pace and the change that's happening in the industry, and I would like to bring a different dimension to this, which is we've been very fortunate as working professionals to have the right kind of expertise in teams and to be able to build them. I find the attention span of the newer generation so short that to develop a certain skill set or an expertise over a number of years with various experiences is what I've started feeling will be a challenge. Everybody wants fast, quick solutions. When you talk about a master craftsman who has been with me for the past 20 years, his children who are not becoming, and we've highlighted this multiple times at the School of Fashion Technology, at various platforms that I speak on, is that the teams of experts that are required to bring all of this together, if those individual skill sets are not developed in the newer generations, then the quality of what we produce is going to be different. I wouldn't say whether it's better or worse because we don't know. It is a newer age and a newer space to experience, and we haven't done that as yet. But we will not have the master craftsman. What I had, the next generation will not have. What my earlier generation had, I have not had the privilege of experiencing. So whether it is a beautiful, cinematographer, or whether it's a skillful embroiderer, or whether it's the most beautiful pattern cutter, to find that kind of experience and patience, and when they say tavas, to be able to master that skill. And I think the attention span deficit is definitely going to affect that. So I would like to, in fact, encourage everybody to become the masters of their own trade. And that is invaluable. I think even in the future, that will be invaluable as a skill set.
I'm relating this to the media because now I see this difference in the students. The content is just 1 minute content.
Exactly.
I mean, they are. If you show them Ray, for example, any film, if you show them like Apu trilogy or whatever, the span of them absorbing what is going on screen is, they get disturbed after, let's say, 15-20 minutes, and they don't want to, because this 1 minute content thing is so fast, and they are there with it. But what you're saying is right, because it takes a different kind of a skill to do what was done at that time.
But I think it's in a way little difficult also, because whatever we used to do in a very maybe a detailed way, now it's only 1 minute where you have to capture the essence of it. So that also I
I'm
think
not
is
saying anything is right or wrong. I'm just saying that as this new style is being accepted, they should also value what has been going on for, because the perseverance that she's been talking about, that is also, I think, very important. Otherwise, everything will be very short lived. Everything, right from your relationships to your emotions to everything. So you need to have that kind of perseverance.
No, and there are so many challenges you must have, a cognizance of. For example, take a software like Midjourney, or take ChatGPT, for example. Now it is replacing the human brain. Okay, so what they say is, instead of doing a design work from the zilch, from ground zero, if I can write a prompt which kind of gives me the required output in 1 minute, then why should I do all that stuff? They don't understand that you must understand the thing to write a prompt also. But what has happened is, when you go to students, like I go as a guest lecturer, whenever I am talking, I know that the students are, doing this, and they're checking out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then they will ask a very smart question, ki, sir, what we know is blah blah blah, and then you have to be very smart yourselves. You can say that even if you have found a question from the Google will answer you. You don't have to come to me. But we have to really accept. And when I say industrialization or Industrial Revolution 4, it's not just about factories and industrial production. It's also about UX, the user experience. It's also about user design, what kind of experience people are going to need. And I think from that perspective, as you said, there is nothing right or wrong. If short 20-second clips are going to be the thing, of the future, and it is being consumed by not just students. You'll see so many old people also. They are, watching reels one after the other. Yes. They don't know. They don't know what to do with their time. So they have found this new thing. There are problems which are related to that, of course. But we have to accept the changes in the technology. We have to acknowledge them, and we have to use them as an opportunity. I think that will be the greatest challenge for the students, because on one side there is a traditional education, and the other side you have new generation or new age requirements. So they don't know how to match, the old style of education, which was founded by Macaulay in the British era, and now you are faced with new challenges which require you to do something in the today's situation. So this bridging the gap is, I think, the biggest challenge for education and for the students.
So the future, like we've been talking about, this is the future. How do you look at the future? What is the future going to be? Because these students are the future. So how do you look at the future?
The future is bright.
Yeah.
For those who are bright. The future is bleak for those who are not passionate, who are not serious. If you look at education casually, you are going to get a casual deal from your life. But if you are serious, intense, studious, and when I say studious, I don't say you have to be a bookworm. You can go everywhere, go on the internet or anywhere in the world and study. But those who are competitive, those who are curious, only those people will survive.
I also feel like the future is very collaborative. The more the collaborative nature of the teams, the more the scale, the more the success. So I feel like learning to be somebody who will progress and contribute to in a team and help it grow and see their own vision of growth within teams which are already offering them the infrastructure, the stability, the wisdom from years of experience will only become a catalyst to the success of every individual. So I think very beautifully said, but this whole spirit that I see sometimes of people wanting to work in isolation, but at the same time, if they can be connected with their peers or their teams or organizations and scale through collaboration, I think the future is immeasurably bright for them as well.
So, we were listening to some of the speakers today, and we were talking about that the pace of the industry is going fast, but the pace of the education is little slow, is what they're saying. So, how we can bridge that gap and what we should do about it?
Yeah, so actually the new education policy 2020 has this as a focus. Now the change has to come from the teaching side and from the student side, right? Now what is happening is what used to be teacher centric once upon a time is becoming student centric. So one must make all the changes in the teaching learning style. The rote learning has to go and it has to be replaced by experiential learning. The curriculums or the curricula have to change. The teaching style has to change. And when you come to a specific question of the growing distance between industry and education, I think teachers have to go to the industry, and industry people have to become teachers. There is a new idea called professors of practice.
Yes.
So these professors of practice are going to be the industry people who have been working in the industry for many, many years. So they'll come and share the experiences with the academia. And the academia has to go to the industry and really see where the industry is at this moment. What happens is they keep referring to all the textbooks which are written 25, 30 years ago. So that is the reason why this distance is getting more and more. But I think if there is a very healthy exchange between the industry and the academia, then this gap can be bridged. So this is on the teacher's side. On the student side, if apart from the theoretical education, if internships and hours spent in hands-on work are increased in every aspect of education, then I think the work experience and the number of hours spent at in the universe where finally they have to go and perform their jobs. So if that is increased, then the education will become more realistic, industry oriented, and the students will be kind of in a situation where they can be in a plug and play situation. The moment they get out of education, they are employable and they start delivering. I think NEP has very broadly given the guidelines for this, and I really believe that they are very good guidelines.
No, definitely. My suggestion would be exactly the same, that 80% of a student's time should be spent outside, like sourcing, dealing with the industry, actually designing, become robust individuals who are able to cope with the practices of the industry, who have enough field knowledge, they have enough industry knowledge, they're able to implement and connect what they're learning to what they have to deliver. Right now, when knowledge from your teachers or your books is remaining just knowledge from the teachers and the books, they're unable to see the way in which they can implement that in real life. And there I feel is also the real gap. So having a 20-25% classroom time, but a 75% implementation in the outside world, industry time, and then figuring out that what they've learned and how they can implement it, what they're learning and how they can implement it, is, I think, one of the best ways to bring students abreast with what is happening in the industry. And I think all the other points that you covered, the industry coming to the students becoming, I also find a lot of students very, very cushioned, and I don't know why that has started happening right now in today's day and age. Whether it's if there is a particular film or there is a particular sourcing activity that has to be conducted in the interiors of some place in the country, just going there and doing that and coming back is seeming like an Herculean task to today's students. They're not ready to step out of their comfort zones very quickly.
With the new education policy again, there are a few big changes that we see happening on the education front, wherein the major minor model is kind of emerging, wherein you learn your core subjects, but you also get to learn so many other things that may not be core but are related to what you do. So how do you see this collaboration between fashion and media is what we will like to know.
See, I think if you really ask me, media and costume, or rather media and fashion, are not a very far away situation. I mean, maybe media and Antarctica could be, a far away situation. But see, costumes, for example, in a film, for example, as a part of the whole product design or the production design, costume is a very important part. So somebody who's working in media and who is going to be a part of the media industry in the form of big screen or small screen, for them they have to understand fashion. Now when I say fashion, it doesn't have to be the razzmatazz of all the ramp walks that we see. Fashion has history, and that history is the history of India, for example. Like what were the costumes that were worn by Mohenjo-daro and Harappa civilizations? What were the Mughal costumes? What were the the Maratha costumes, for that matter, Tanjore costumes? And they speak of so much of culture. I mean, a fashion actually represents an era, influences the economic situation of a particular, the aesthetic of a particular era. So costume in a way is it tells so many stories. Likewise, it happens in media, for example. When we design a character, the costumes of that character are an integral part of that character design. Okay. So there one must understand right from the texture of the the color palette, the era, and there are so many considerations. For that you must have a very good knowledge of fashion. Okay. I'll not limit fashion as the way you dress today. Fashion has been there for ages. So a person who has a thorough knowledge of fashion, if I'm doing a historical film, then the designer has to go for the historical costumes. If I'm making an alien, then the creativity of the costume designer has to really think something out of the box.
A film like Avatar, for example.
For Avatar, for example. So I think costume is an integral part of media. When it comes to education, I think the fashion students have to understand how it is going to be showcased. And media is going to be the showcase many a times, So they have to understand what are the proportions, what are the, how do you block it, how is movement seen there, what kind of color palettes are, how do they look in different situations. For different moods, they have to understand the moods, they have to understand the mood boards of a particular media product. So they have to understand cinema. They have to understand visual aesthetic. They have to understand the technology that delivers it. So they are quite complementary to each other, the media and fashion. And when you need to have multidisciplinary connectivity between, you must know what is fashion, you must know history. For example, if you are making an Indian film, you must know history of India. You must know geography. You must know you must know about the history. You must know about the geography. You must know about the different stylistic, variations across the country. So I think you cannot leave any subject that I am not connected with it, One way or the other, all the subjects are connected together. and there has to be a very well-rounded kind of an learning that has to happen. So that way I will not leave anything, many times people ask me, what has music got to do with mathematics? But if you look at the mathematical patterns, they are so much close to music. Western classical music is all mathematics. So I think all the subjects in the universe are connected. They are all integrated, according to me.
I would like to take the direction of how we use media in fashion today and how times have changed, especially since we're going out to the world in terms of scalability. It is not possible for people to physically touch and feel your product. And being a fashion designer and wanting to bring that experience, that storytelling and that product to everybody, to as many consumers as possible, I think breathing in and breathing out media is what I am doing currently every single day. Whether it is understanding content creation, e-commerce content, which is again shot in different formats in a photo shoot, whether it's the storytelling of a new collection, which is shot not only in stills now, but also in video, whether it's changing the backdrops through AI, whether it is taking that product in short format, long format, horizontal, vertical, lit, outdoor, indoor, product photography, different kind of lighting scenarios, to our digital platforms, whether it's the various digital platforms that are constantly evolving, and how those platforms then tell the story and showcase the experience of our products to the rest of the world, not only in India, not only in single tier cities, but in 2 tier, 3 tier cities, and then to the rest of the world, has become what our businesses are based on. So, in fact, I would say that an in-depth understanding of media is definitely required for anybody who wants to be in the business of fashion, right? To scale or to showcase anything as an experience today, whether it be 2-dimensional, 3-dimensional, whether it be experiential, media has become an integral part and a game changer, I would say, in how businesses are conducted today. So if I had the knowledge and if I had media as a supportive subject during when I was studying, the whole along the lines study and evolution and research that we've had to do from scratch as fashion designers to understand at our times from print media and from still photography to now this whole multi-dimensional universe that media has to offer, I feel like the outreach of our products globally would have been much faster. So now today we're adapting very, very quickly to different kinds of skill sets. But I would highly recommend that media be a supporting subject and probably one of the major ones to how any artist, be it a fashion designer, a painter, a graphic designer, to showcase their work on various platforms and have the maximum number of people experience it and then do justice to their creativity and to their business. So yes, I am in complete support of creating collaborative courses that will help people acquire skill sets that are useful to create ROI in current times.
So, thank you so much. Yeah, thank you for sparing all the time. And I'm sure all the students are going to benefit highly from listening to your thoughts.